are you saying?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Road to Real Estate Podcast. I'm John, and this is Lauren.
Hey, guys.
I don't know why she's laughing. She's always crazy like that. This is our season finale, guys. We are episode 20. We set out to do 5, and now we're at 20, and we're doing another season, so you're stuck with us for a while. Lauren, to show our appreciation for you guys, because obviously we wouldn't be here without you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a second and say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to us. Jonathan and I actually care. We care about you. We hope that your real estate has gotten better because of this. We hope you have had a laugh. We hope that you have enjoyed this meandering season of topics with us. And we hope you have a great rest of 2025, rest of the year. Bring in your business, do your business, and we are here for you. So pop something in the chat, reach out, hit one of us up. We are real estate agents that work every single day, and we would love to chat with you. So thank you for being here.
Yeah. And because you're here, like, subscribe, notification bell, the stuff.
All the things.
All the things. We
All the
appreciate
things.
all the things. We are pretty scatterbrained. I would say that because I'm looking at a list of all the episodes we've done this year sitting right in front of me. We're going to do our takeaways season finale. And it's like we started broad and then we narrowed down and got really, really tight on specific things for newer agents to do and maybe even some seasoned agents to refresh on. And then it goes to almost to the general public by the end of the season. We just kind of winged it each week and we're like, oh, what do you want to talk about? And that's how we got here. And there's a lot to talk about. That's what we learned. So
Yeah.
Let's start out with, if we do the first 3 episodes, we just group them together.
Yeah. So, when I think about our first 3 episodes, so you want to be a realtor,
Yeah.
getting ready for the test, and time to start, right? Like jump on in there. In my mind, you're going to take a test, you're going to take a class, but the big question is where you're going to put your license, right? You have a totally different real estate career based on that. And so when I think about that, there are free resources out there. We have some free resources out there to get your real estate license for less that weren't out there when I got mine. Jonathan, you did one of these programs, right?
Oh, yeah.
You had and how did that work out for you?
Worked great. It also gets you in touch with some people in a brokerage already. So it's like not everyone has a bunch of friends that are in real estate when they start. So when you get into the brokerage and you have that first meeting, now you kind of have an end goal. You may not stay with that brokerage. You don't have to go to that brokerage, but having them hand you that scholarship to get you through that class. And they also, the whole time I was in those classes, were sending me emails and everything else, checking on my status, seeing how I was doing, and trying to keep you motivated to get through the class, because obviously it's in their benefit to have you come through, because we do pay brokerage fees and everything else. But having someone kind of reach out and be in contact, it feels nice. Like, oh, they're waiting for me. I've got a job waiting for me. This is, you know what I mean? So there was that, So huge fan of it.
And I shared that I had none of that. I did an online class. I paid for it. I was scared to let people know I was doing it. I did it in the dark of the night. No one knew I was doing it. And I had to pay for it twice because I didn't finish it the first time. And so there's definitely value, like you said, Jonathan, people reaching out to you.
I constantly talk to people because I don't know if you notice, I'm kind of a talker. And I get hit up all the time with people going, oh, you're an agent? I wanted to be an agent. I thought, I'm like, let me know. I can get you it for free. It's not that hard to do. We get to this class, and it's amazing how easy it is to get into the class for free. It literally takes an hour of your time, and the response is almost none. Like, they like the idea, but taking that step to do it is tough. So when I look at the first 3 episodes, I see it differently than Lauren. To me, I think of kind of 2 things. I'm going to kind of cheat. Time blocking and vocabulary.
Vocabulary, that's a big one.
Yeah, so I feel like time blocking, getting used to breaking down your schedule and allotting a certain amount of time to get through the class, to learn the vocabulary, and also once you're an agent, you're going to use it to make your phone calls and do your business. even though there's all these other distractions in life. And then vocabulary to me is really important because if you don't know the vocabulary, you're not passing the test.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be an agent if you don't learn that vocabulary. Also, learning that vocabulary, once you become an agent, being able to talk the talk will win people over because, like, oh, they know what they're talking about. They're using the terms that I expect to hear from a professional, So
I just think about Legally Blonde. I'm used to using legal jargon in everyday life. I object. So I imagine you, Jonathan, as like a Legally Blonde.
Oh, yeah.
Like reparations.
When I start talking to people, I like to talk about meets and bounds because nobody even knows what that is. I'm like, what's meets and bounds? I talk like a surveyor,
I like the word fiduciary.
Oh, it is good. I like that.
Because in the state of Georgia, we're not fiduciaries. And that's but the whole time you learn for the exam, you learn the national standards, and the national standard is that you are a fiduciary. So I don't know, that always cracks me up. So the other thing that I think about is that people don't always do a cram course. And I think cram courses are gold. Like, pass your final exam, do all the 75 hours that you need to do, and then before you take the state exam, just take a cram course. Take it online. Take it in person. Go to a different place than you went. They're not expensive, and they're worth every single penny.
Yes. For those of you who don't know, lots and lots of people take the national and state tests multiple times. Lots of people fail their tests multiple times.
Yay!
And it costs money every time. So taking a cram course, and if that saves you 3 tries on the test, that's good for you. It's worth it because you're gonna pay for it on the retake of those tests. So just pay it up front, do the cram course. It'll get you honed in and get you ready. So that's kind of like the beginning of our phase. And then once we got past that beginning phase of shooting our podcast, we kind of started narrowing things down to specific things that we should focus on as beginning realtors. And that ranges from everything from doing open houses, picking up phones, farming your neighborhood.
Creating a database.
Yeah, creating database, all of that stuff kind of adds to that. Picking up the phone, farming, open houses. Those are how you get names to add to your database. So I would guess, even though we have a database as an episode, I guess the best takeaway is the database because that's all we're doing is adding stuff to that database.
But it's so important, Jonathan, because regular humans in their life don't go to their friends and say, "Ooh, can I have all your information? Can I have your name, your address, your phone number, and your email?" Most of the time, you start with a phone number or an email, and that's it. Like, how many friends do you actually have their address of, unless you physically go to their house? Even people that live in your neighborhood, you don't have their address written down. You know where their house is, but you don't know their address. You don't know their house number. And so transferring that kind of that knowledge from a lay person to a professional is kind of a big deal.
How many of your friends do you know their last names?
Hammett.
That's one. I'll be honest. I look through my phone. I don't get that. Like, I'm friendly with people, but I don't even get their last name. I got them saved I got 4 gyms in my phone.
And you don't work out in any of them.
No.
That was a joke.
I got it.
Yeah. I also, when I say people's names, I will save them, like with their child's name in there too. So like my friend Meg, and then I have her son's name and her daughter's name and then their last name. And so I actually do put like all the names in. And so then I go look at my database and it's first name, kid's name, last name. I'm like, ooh, I got to clean that up. If that's not going to work in a database, right?
Yeah.
And so I put goofy things around there like, person I met at blah, blah, blah. I'll put as their last name. And so I always have to go in and clean up my database.
Yeah, mine's a mess, and that's my new focus for the latter part of the year as we're going to take it a little bit slower. As things slow down a little bit, my focus is to clean that up, get more information on people, which I've slacked on pretty well.
I was in the Hallmark store the other day, which is funny. Who goes to the Hallmark store? I mean, John, when was the last time you were in a Hallmark store?
probably 25 years ago.
Yeah, like 1995, right?
They're still having
And so I
store.
was at the Hallmark store the other day, and I was just looking through the sales stuff. My mom's birthday is coming up. It's a good mom birthday present place, right? And so I'm just fiddling around, and I saw an address book, and
Oh.
it had dawned on me, I forgot that address books existed. Right? We joke about Rolodexes sometimes. We talk about our phone database, but I had forgotten that my mom used to have a little book with people's names and addresses and phone numbers, their birthdays, their anniversaries.
This
It
is my
just
mom.
blew my mind.
Yeah, she has her little book, and she knows everyone's birthday. She knows everyone's. She writes it all down. She has it all, every phone number. She would have been a good realtor. If that thing's on point. Not me. I mean, I'm a good realtor, but
Did you
not.
just say not me?
Well, just the organization of that information. I just meet people, treat them like I've known them for a million years, and then it's like, all right, cool, see you. And
Let's do it.
that I need to be more on top of getting their information down, learning more about them, turning them from not just a friend but into a client as well, or at least a referral business. It doesn't even have to be them buying or selling the house, but maybe one of their friends is getting ready for a transition. So being more on point and being more present and top of mind definitely goes a long way.
You remind me of Joey from Friends. Oh no, I'm in the friend zone. Right?
As a realtor, that's a good place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it can be, but you want to make sure you have the business side too. I'm looking at this. We just talked about database. Oh, the right way to do an open house. Ah, just in my life right now, recently, um, in a neighborhood that I farm and that I know, I got blown up 2 weekends ago
Oh.
because a realtor that had listed a house just did a terrible job with the open house. They they put out the signs and they were all janky. They weren't like straight in the ground. They were like wank. They didn't have any information. They didn't have the address. They didn't have an arrow pointing. And he put out like 10 or 15 signs,
Mm.
legitimately, and they all looked bad. And this is a realtor I actually know, and he's kind of spastic. He's very much a guy, so like details are not his like forte. And his sign looked horrible in the ground. His pictures were terrible, and I got more phone calls about his bad open house and his bad listing. But you know what? It was in a good neighborhood. It still went under contract, and I saw in his Facebook post how great he was because he did that. And all I can think about is like, whew, if you knew what the neighbors were saying about you, it's not good.
Yeah.
Like it's very, very, very interesting. So, doing your open house right, knowing where you are, over $1 million, you need to do open houses differently than under $1 million. Different areas, knowing where you are,
Mm-hmm.
really super, super important. School system. The guy didn't highlight the school system at all, which is our primary reason people pay this amount for these houses in this
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
Just so like knowing where you are, knowing who you're selling to, is so important.
Yeah. Doing your research, not just showing up at the open house and winging it, goes a
Mm-hmm.
long ways because time is valuable. And if you go to an open house that's overpriced and you know no information on it, chances are you're not going to get any valuable leads from it, anyways. So the more information you have, choosing your open house appropriately. Obviously, if it's your listing, getting them to list at the appropriate price and everything else so it sells in the market that you're in is a big, big deal as well. You can't outmarket a bad sales price.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, good job. Yeah,
I
good job.
know. The struggle I'm dealing with right now.
It's a hard market. This is the
Yeah.
first time our market has really gone down in
Yeah, it's
10,
changed.
15 years.
So the conversation I'm going to have after I get back after this weekend is to sit down with him and go, okay, here's the deal, man. We're chasing this market, and we need to get ahead of this market. If you want to sell this thing, we need to, like, we're dropping in small increments, and it's like, do you want it to sell? We need to take a big cut, and it's going to suck. But if you want this
Mm-hmm.
house to sell, we have to.
Yeah.
So tough conversations, which is actually one of our things on here as a title was our episode 12, and that's part of
Mm-hmm.
it because having those tough conversations, if you don't have them, nothing gets fixed and things get worse. Whereas being able to take those conversations head on goes a long way for you and your client. The sooner you have them, the better. The longer you wait, the worse it's going to be.
Yeah, and those tough conversations equal professionalism.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference in talking to your friend and talking to your client. And so sometimes having that in mind is really, really important, especially when you first start, because you don't necessarily want to be that person. You want to make things better, you want to be helpful, but sometimes the best thing you can do is to take a step back or to have a tough conversation, because that conversation will just snowball over time and just become so much worse than if you nip it in the bud early on.
I agree. Yeah, we're about to have that conversation. We've been in those conversations before. It's part of being in this business. There's a lot of emotions in real estate. There's a lot of big decisions. These are the toughest purchases or biggest purchases in people's lives. So our day to day is full of tough conversations, especially now. Like, not to timestamp this episode, but when we started shooting this podcast, we were in a seller's market. By the spring, we were in an equal market, and now we're coming to the end of summer, and we're in a buyer's market at this point. And the prices are changing, so every day we're talking to people that want to list their homes that go, "Hey, man, I bought it at this price 2 years ago. It's gone up to here," and you got to tell them, "No, things have changed. It's actually gone down comparative to 2 years ago." Like, so if you were only in your home 2 years, there's a chance you're going to go to the closing table with a checkbook in your hand unless you used equity to buy your home. So there's some real tough ones, some reality checks. I actually had a conversation with a group of people the other day that after talking to them and giving them an idea what their house was worth, they were like, "Oh, we can't afford to sell." Like, yep. It was actually people that wanted to buy one of Lauren's listings, the one up in Cumming. From a few months ago, they liked that area, to that area, and they needed to sell their place, but they had just bought their place, and now the market has shifted, and it was like, oh, well, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, and that kind of leads us into listings.
Mm-hmm.
It's the gold standard of real estate, having listings. But this is the first time in probably almost 15 years where it's better to not have a listing, right?
Yeah.
Buyers are a little better at this moment. However, listings are still the bread and butter. They're still a really important part of real estate, and you have to know what to do, from pricing to your listing appointment to staging. What are you actually going to do to sell the house? Marketing, like you said, you can't outmarket a bad priced house. So going full circle, that takes a tough conversation about what the house is actually worth. And it takes knowledge of the market, the local area, of what it actually is. Just yesterday, we got an email from somebody and said, "Hey, I have a really good deal. You need to buy this house, and it's in a specific school district that is consistently ranked number one." Is actually over in East Cobb, Jonathan. Number one in the whole state of Georgia. Like, it's just known as the best school in Georgia, especially in this area. And I went and I looked it up. And I told my husband, I said, "Nope, it's not a good deal. It's actually worth $100,000 less than what they think it is, because it's on the wrong side of the street. Mm-hmm. One street over is that number one school district, but where they are, it's still a good school, but it's not the number one school." Yes. And there's about $100,000 price difference between those two schools.
Yeah. It's amazing, one street, and that's a Georgia thing. We've mentioned it in our previous podcast about how we divide the lines. Like, in one neighborhood, even though they have the same entryway, can be divided between two school systems. So knowing the area really, really, really is important, especially when it comes to pricing the home and knowing what you're getting. And as a buyer or a seller, it's all related. Let's see, the next thing. Let's do, we've done tough conversations. So protecting our clients. I think a big part of that is, like, for instance, you protected your husband just on the pricing of that home. He's not a client, I know, but...
He's sort of a client. I mean, he has been a client. He will be a client again. But yeah, protecting, not taking things at face value, but looking deeper, knowing the law, knowing the contracts, knowing their rights, knowing what they don't have the right to do. Mm-hmm. Right? These are really, really important, because buyers and sellers will self-sabotage. They will do the absolute wrong thing if you let them.
Yeah, every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from spying on showings, right? Have you ever had a
Yeah,
seller
yeah. Oh,
that
yeah.
likes to spy on showings? So yeah, I
We've
think
both had clients that have done that, have called us after an open house and been like, "Hey, yeah, just so you know, I saw."
yeah,
Like,
I like your tie. I'd be like, what?
yeah. Well, I mean, the call I got wasn't a bad one. It was, but it shouldn't have happened. The point is he shouldn't have been watching in the first place. But he had a lot of high end computer equipment. That's what he does, and so he keeps cameras all through his house, even in his closet, because he wanted to keep an eye on his stuff. And so people decided to have a conversation in his closet about buying or not buying the house. And they were talking very highly about the house, which is great. It's all good news. And then he called me. He's like, "Oh, we should be getting an offer." I heard a conversation in the closet. I'm like, you shouldn't have heard anything. They didn't end up putting in an offer, but it was like it got him excited because they seemed happy. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, you're not supposed to listen on people, guys.
It's
Don't do
creepy.
it. But it happens. It's hard to do because we have access to it, and we have more access to it than ever before because everyone's got some kind of Android, Google, Apple Ring device in their house. Everything is AI. It turns on randomly, and having that temptation, I get it. It's tough because back in the '80s, you had to get a camcorder.
A camcorder. Oh
You know what I
wow.
mean? But like nowadays, the cameras are so small and they're in every corner of the house for your protection, and everything else is part of the security system. How many reels do you see where something crazy happens and they're like, "Oh, we got to put this on Instagram," because it's always recording, And so
Yeah.
nowadays, it's real easy to go through that footage. It's not like you turn it on to listen to the conversation, but it's there to have access to it, and it was there before you even thought of selling the home.
Mm-hmm.
But still, don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think even we were just at the school bus stop the other day because and somebody said to me, we started talking about our flowers or our lack of flowers because the deer ate them. And what do? We pull up our Ring doorbell camera and we show everybody the deer at 3 o'clock in the morning at my front door, all the way at the front door, not in my yard, all the way to my front door, eating my flowers off my front door.
Oh yeah, it's amazing the range on a Ring camera. We had a neighbor in Florida, not to get us off topic, but it was kind of crazy. Our house is on the corner in Florida, and there's a road, and the road goes back, and then 2 or 3 houses back was a younger couple, and they were friends of ours. We were talking, and she's like, "Dude, what happened in your yard the other day?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because we didn't have a Ring camera, and she pulls up her phone and she shows us the Ring camera, and in that Ring camera, it was a car chase through the neighborhood, and it was a car
Whoa.
chasing a moped, and the moped cut through our yard, like cut the corner to go from that street to that street to get away from the car, and then the car followed him through our yard as well. And of course, we had no idea it happened. There was no tracks or anything in our yard. But then I'm looking at her camera, I'm like, you can see that much of our yard and house from your house? Like, we have no privacy. I mean, it was a cool video with the things happening, but it was blown away of how clear, like, she could see all through our backyard, around the side yard, across. I was like, huh.
That feels invasive.
like, in case you guys don't know, Florida, most of the laundry is outside, so we would go outside to get our laundry to go back in, and many
That's
times
so
I
funny.
did it in my
I
washer.
didn't know that.
So, oh yeah, lots of the laundry is like separate from the house. Like you do the carport and you walk across the carport and it's on the other side. Ours we had to go outside and around to go back inside. It was outdoor access only. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, it's pretty common in Florida.
Interesting.
But
Yeah, we have HOA here that they do not allow any kind of laundry outside. Like it is a huge it's a huge thing in Georgia.
oh
Um,
no, it's still a laundry room. Like it's still a washer and dryer, but it's not connected to the house.
oh, I thought you meant the laundry was outside. Like people use like clotheslines
Oh yeah, no, like the washer and dryer
or in the
is
garage.
outside access. So
Yeah, yeah, okay,
we
yeah.
would go out the back door of our house, go around and go in, and it was its own room, like a utility room with washer and dryer. Had a water heater and stuff in there too, but it's not. You couldn't access it from the house. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty common down there. But that was way off topic. So that's okay. And so I would sum up.
Tell us more about your dirty laundry, Jonathan.
Yeah. Oh, I've got so much. We're going to do it now. So that's protecting your clients. We got no listening in during. That could go under listings, open houses, everything. When you're showing a house, be weary of the ring cameras as well, because it's very common to start talking when put stories together. You don't want to insult anyone because they take it personally. And you don't want to be too excited about the home and have them listen in too, because it affects how things negotiate if you decide to put an offer in on the home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then kind of midway through, we went from agent focused to a little bit more client focused, general public focused, right? We talked about what are the top 12 Google real estate questions. These are important to know whether you're a agent or a buyer seller, because this is what people are talking about. This people want to know.
Yeah. I didn't write any of the 12 questions down, but it's episode 14 if you want to go watch it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's a really good one. The most common one is finding a good realtor. I think if you get a good realtor, they will answer every topic that we've talked about today. Or they'll, like for the beginning section where we're training realtors, they'll have that information down pat. So they will protect their client. They'll do good showings. They'll do good, be good for your listing. They'll protect you even when you get it into later. We do 10 home inspection red flags. They help you get through all those hurdles and the scary times when you're trying to sell or buy a house, because it is scary. That's season 1. Get a good realtor.
Get a good realtor. I mean, honestly, it's over and over again. It makes a difference. It makes a difference. There are certain realtors or certain brokerage companies that I know I can negotiate harder with. Mm-hmm. Period. Yeah. If you are a for sale by owner, I can get a better price out of you than if you were represented by an agent. 99% of the time. And if I can't, we just walk away. We go to the next house, right? It's no big deal. But for, there are just certain companies, especially if somebody is, if somebody maybe has less experience, or if a company is less involved. We have some discount brokers here that let the sellers and the buyers negotiate for themselves. I can out negotiate you. And I don't mean that in a mean way. And I'm sure there's someone out there that's not, that is not a real estate agent that could out negotiate me. Okay, fine. That's great. Good for you. But overall,
not likely.
I find that I get about 10% more for my client if the person on the other side is not experienced or not engaged. And that would be a brokerage that just like puts on the MLS and lets you negotiate for yourself. And so sometimes I get excited. Or if you bring me a for sale by owner and we go look at a for sale by owner, I know we're going to get you a better price because they're not paying to be represented. So they already have 3% right there ready to negotiate.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's right off the top.
Yeah, and so I can getting someone who has knowledge, who has experience, who knows your hyper local market, just like Jonathan was talking about, that we moved into like a buyer's market. There are still areas in the country, areas in Atlanta too, that are still balanced, that haven't swung all the way to buyer's market. Now they're smaller areas than they were.
Yeah,
but there are still some areas, and you need to know that as a buyer, as a seller, as somebody who's contesting your taxes. You need to know that information and lean. And if you don't, it's okay. Lean into someone who does.
Yeah. AKA Lauren and John. We're right here talking to you right now because we care. Why do I do a podcast, guys?
Genuine. Yeah. Yeah. Keep your jokes.
Yeah. So
I know 10 biggest mistakes sellers make. That's a really important one. I feel like sellers really shoot themselves in the foot sometimes.
Yeah, I think for me, when I look at the 10 big mistakes that sellers make, I look at it and it's the small repairs that don't cost a lot, and they go, this doesn't really add value. It doesn't really add value. I don't really want to fix it. And if you get a good agent, they're going to, hey, we're going to need to paint this, clean this, get rid of some of this clutter. And it's all simple stuff that can either be done by the seller themselves, or if they have a handyman come in for a day and pay them a couple of bucks to get it all taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Those small little things that we get used to living with. We're used to seeing those little handprints on the door, or where the dog rubs against the wall and you have that little stain. It's pretty common. I see it in so many houses. It doesn't take long to take a magic eraser and go and remove that.
Mm-hmm.
It's little stuff, and you get so used to seeing it, you don't even notice it. But when someone else comes into your home and they see the pictures on the wall and they can see where the dog goes across the carpet and see where it rubs on the wall, or the kids put their hands on the glass window, those little tiny things, having a maid come and do a professional clean before you do an open house, will change perspective, because once a person starts noticing that stuff, they start forming a story, and now they're thinking about how you live and how you treat it versus how they want to live in it. And once a story becomes about the seller and not the buyer, it has a huge influence on whether they're putting an offer in or not.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that people underestimate that.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in San Francisco, and my roommate had a dog named Buddha, and this dog was
Sounds big.
half. Was that?
Sounds big.
He was half pit bull, like the big strong pit bull, and half basset hound. And I remember, still to this day, I remember being so confused what that oily streak was around and it was Buddha. Buddha would rub himself up, and he had
Oh yeah.
that oily coat that they have to like repel water, right? It's good. It has a purpose in the wild, not in your house. And I just remember, and so when you talked about the dog, you immediately think of someone's house. You immediately think of somewhere, and you don't want that if you're selling. You can fix it so fast. Like you said, I don't always recommend a magic eraser for your walls because they do take the paint off over time. But
Depends
prepare
on
to
the
sell.
wall. The more matte, the more damage.
Yeah.
That's how it
When
works.
you prepare to sell, though, it's a great tool to have.
Yeah. A magic eraser goes a long ways, and then also a fresh coat of paint just to give that smell. I don't know, it feels new, you know. Um,
Yeah, and Jonathan, to your point, you can't manufacture that feeling if they've lost it, right?
hmm
People assume things the second they see your property online, and then again the second they put their foot, or drive up. It is the neighborhood, it is the curb appeal, it is your neighbor's yards, it is your mailbox. It is not even in the house. It's looking at the front of your house. Are there screens? Are there not screens? Do you have blinds on every window? Are they the same? Do they match? Are they open? Are they closed? There are things, little things that give people feelings. Actually, Jonathan, when you were buying, I don't know if you remember this or not, but one day we were looking at houses and it was the afternoon. And
hmm
before we went into a house, I said, hey guys, there's kind of a weird thing that happens at twilight when it's just starting to get dark. People get a weird feeling about houses. It's
hmm
just what happens. I try not to I try not to show houses at twilight, but there's like a weird thing where it's not dark enough to need all the lights on, but
hmm
it's darker, and so like it has a weird feeling. And I
Yeah.
think we said this, and sure enough, 5 minutes into walking around the house, I don't think it was you, I think it was your wife, was like, "Ooh, this place feels creepy." And
hmm
it wasn't the house at all. It was like the twilight, that it didn't have the bright lights on already. The sun was going down. It just changed the
Yeah.
feel of the
Yeah.
house. So
Yeah. And a good realtor will tell you that, and you won't listen to them, and you'll go look at the house anyways, and then.
or in the dark in the middle of the night when you
Oh
see a
yeah, we've
house with
done
an
that.
indoor
Oh my
swimming pool
gosh.
and it's not
How do
creepy
we
at
know?
all.
Listen, had to see the house. You had to see it. When someone says they have a swimming pool in their house and you're not in a really, really, really high end house, you gotta see it.
An indoor swimming pool.
Yeah, yeah. It was a unique build.
It piques the Florida in you. You were like, what? Indoor swimming pool in Georgia? What?
Oh yeah,
It was worth it. It was worth it though. It was worth
yeah. I would like to check on the house because I think if the right people bought it and fixed it up right, it's gonna take work though. That
it.
house needs
Oh, Now we have to Google it. We'll have to Google it. We'll have to see. Well, and then that's the other thing. When people do work, they don't put their houses on the internet until they sell. So unless somebody flipped it, we probably won't know for like another 10 years.
Yeah, when it's run down again. When the mold comes back from an indoor pool, you know?
That's funny.
This whole episode, we've been talking about what real estate agents do. That's our episode 17, so that one's easy. We've been doing it and talking about it this whole time. How about let's go right to episode 19. That's a good one. And we talked about neighbors and stuff. So what neighborhood qualities add to value? We talked school systems a little bit already, so that's kind of part of that.
And I think this is hyper local, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does a neighborhood mean to you in your area? Because that was different for you in Florida than it is here in Georgia.
Oh, yeah. And as an individual, every family or person has different needs too. So the value can be very personal. We don't want to cast a broad net and say, hey, your home's worth more if it has this, 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 and this, because that may not be important to you as an individual. What do you need out of a home?
Because ultimately, it is the buyer that chooses the price of the home. Right? I say this sometimes to sellers and they get confused. And here's the thing. If no one is willing to pay your price, it doesn't matter what price you put on there. You have to find a buyer that's willing to pay. And so it's really the buyer that tells the price.
Mm-hmm.
That's the irony. We didn't really talk about the lawsuit going around, but that's the irony going around, right? With all the things about compensation and who pays what. A buyer has to agree to pay for your house.
Yeah.
Period. And so not compensating their agent is keeping them from it's a barrier to get them to your house. And so, overall, we still see a 5.5% average commission in the whole United States. So we haven't seen a big drop, but it's a good point. The buyer determines the price of the house, not the seller. And so whatever the buyer values is where they add value. So maybe school systems are important. Maybe they're not important. Maybe the area, maybe it's the commute, maybe it's the curb appeal, maybe it's the HOA or the lack of HOA.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's the indoor pool. It's the value that the buyer gives to it.
To add to that, so many times in this industry, people ask, how was it going to appraise? How's it going to appraise? It's going to appraise. Is it going to appraise? In the end, and I've been on multiple sides of this, just the appraisal price doesn't determine the value of the home. It's still the buyer. So you can have a home that, for instance, the house that I'm sitting in right now, appraised for well less than what we paid for this house. But we negotiated that in and we paid over the appraisal price on our own because it's the home that we wanted in the shape that we wanted it in. So even the appraiser doesn't set the price. And sometimes the appraiser can go, well, this house is worth way more than what they're selling it for. But if no one's willing to pay that price, it doesn't matter. You can appraise for $450. If no one's willing to pay over $425 for it, then you don't sell your home unless you go to $425.
Yeah, I say appraisals are not a negotiation strategy. I've had plenty of times where somebody goes in and they know that they put in an overpriced offer or they're not comfortable with the offer they put in and they expected the appraisal to save them and it didn't. And they were angry that they didn't get, the price they thought they should get. So like you said, the appraisal doesn't save you. If you really want the house and you know the value's there, sometimes appraisers are wrong. They don't know the area. They don't know what, like you said, what's important to you. Like Jonathon has this really cool detached workshop garage, huge thing, and our particular appraiser gave us like no value for it.
Yeah.
And and sometimes the appraisers just do that. I don't think he knew it was bad.
And we could have got a different appraisal the next day, and it could have been way different too. Mm-hmm. It's important that the appraisers are human, and they see different values and everything. They're trained to see a certain amount, and they're certified, but what their perceived value can be different from person to person. The age of things can value differently, and they do their best to have a pretty standardized way of doing it. But I've seen appraisers literally drive by the property, take a couple of pictures, and go, it's good enough. they have enough equity in the home. Here's a HELOC loan. Don't worry about it. Then I've had appraisers actually go through the house and actually take it very seriously. And, we're humans. And they're humans too. Appraiser's going to change from person to person, day to day,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Well, and I think we also, besides the appraisal, we also talked about what do you value in your neighborhood as far as what amenities, right? Not just in the neighborhood, not just swim, tennis, pool, but also where do you like to shop? Our two big grocery stores around here are Kroger and Publix. Are you a Kroger person? Are you a Publix person? Are you a person of Walmart or are you a person of Target?
I'll tell you right now, I will drive straight past a Kroger to go to a Publix. The pub sub is everything.
Yeah, the Florida in you is showing. And it might depend on the one you have close to you, right? You never know. You never know. And so knowing what you expect in your larger neighborhood is important, what you want in your larger neighborhood. Maybe it's a Starbucks, maybe it's a Dunkin'. I don't know. How do you want to live? And so using that, do you want to be able to walk to anything? That has value for people. Um, Parks, schools, all kinds of things. There's a lot of things that you would look at. I think we skipped over inspection red flags. And so,
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
I think that's super important. I didn't tell you I was going to do this, Jonathan, but I will tell you a good inspector is amazing. And my home inspector actually passed away last month.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did I tell you that? I don't know if I even told you.
No, that's news to me.
And he inspected your house, Jonathan. He inspected my mom's house. Like he was my favorite guy. And he's he's married. He has 3 kids. He was a really great guy. And he was at the beach, and some people got stuck on a sandbar, and he saved them, an entire family, 3 kids, 2 adults. And then they turned around and they looked, and he was gone. And so I'd like to just, his name is Chase Childers, and he was really a great, great guy. And so he will definitely be missed. But that kind of, sorry to take that, but sometimes you have those people that make a difference. And I feel like he made a difference in people's lives. And so I just want to take a second to kind of highlight him.
Shout out,
Yeah, but those inspectors are important. Making sure that as a real estate agent, you trust your inspector, you've vetted them, you know that they do a good job. And on the other hand, making sure that they can speak to your clients and explain things in a correct way to them and in a way that makes sense. There are some inspectors that are known as deal killers. Have you heard this yet, Jonathan? And so they put absolutely everything down, everything, little tiny, teeny things wrong with the house, and they will make you so scared. It's like they just make you very paranoid, and they will kill your deal every time. Whereas a good home inspector is going to, we say tell the weather. They're going to tell you what's wrong with the house. They're going to tell you it's okay. All houses have problems. It's fixable. The question is it worth it to you to fix or to walk away?
Yeah. And the company we use does a color-coded system that really helps break things down by the severity. Like, hey, this is a maintenance item. This needs done. And it might be yellow. This is important. This is something needs fixed now. It's going to be in red. And the severity of it and the value of it is important to have a way to break it down with your client. If they hand you a random report with 8 million things written down, and I've had this inspection done where it's like a carbon copy pad where it's just their handwriting, saw this, wrote this, said this, no pictures or anything else to coincide with it, all the way up to the company we use, which is that's a 120-page email. That's what it is, and it's got photos.
Depending on how long that needs to be, but yeah.
Yeah, no, but it is like I used them for 4 different houses this last spring, and everyone was about 100 pages. So
and it saved us from one house, Jonathan. Do you remember this? We saw in the listing pictures. They had a picture before the flooring was down, and there was a pretty substantial crack in the foundation. It was a slab house. It was pretty substantial crack through the den. And then we asked our inspector, and of course there was the flooring had been laid down, and there was a rug, and there was furniture on top of it. So we moved the furniture. Do you remember this? I don't know if you
Yes,
were
I do.
there.
Yeah.
So we moved the furniture, we moved the rug, and we looked, and we're like, yeah, we can still feel it even once it's down. So we call the agent who happened to be the owner. They were flipping houses, so we call him and we say, "Hey, buddy, this is how you know how old I am. I just did this. I didn't do this, right? I did this."
Yeah, yeah. It's a
Um,
different. It used to have
so
a.
we called the agent. I was like, "Hey, my guys are willing to like work with this. It isn't necessarily a deal breaker for us. However, there's a big crack in the slab, and I'd like for you to tell me about it. What do you know about it?" And he swore up and down there was no crack, but we
I
had a
remember.
picture of it. And
The
I went
before
to
and
you
after.
guys and I said,
Yeah,
"What do
the
you
house
want to
was,
do?"
it was a blue house, right? If I remember, it was
Um,
repainted bluish, grayish blue thing.
yeah, it was kind of weird. It was like
Yeah,
it was a slab house, and it was very like sprawling. There was like a random room here, and then
yeah.
rooms there, and then more rooms there, and
I
it was.
remember it well.
Yeah, I think your wife really liked it, and you were kind of like, meh.
Yeah, I remember that. I forgot about it till now, but I remember the crack and us looking at the before and after pictures, going,
Yeah, and
kind of
what
a
we
big deal.
needed them to do is say, hey, yeah, there was a crack. We sealed it. We did blah, 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 blah. Because it's not like the house was going to fall down a hill. It was on a perfectly flat piece of land. It was just a
Yeah,
normal, everyday crack. We weren't super worried about the crack. But the fact that they lied about it became an issue. And it
yeah.
crashed the
But
whole deal.
what's what it was, even if it wasn't.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And your wife really liked that house.
She liked a lot of houses.
Yeah, she really likes that house. You almost lived there. But and that's what an inspector and being able to show him that picture, be able to talk about it, being able to have somebody who's willing to roll up the carpet and look underneath and go deep when you need to, especially when it's real stuff. It makes a big deal. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think inspectors have an unsung part of the job that's really really important. And I
Yeah.
would say don't go to Google. It's not about Google reviews. Lean into your trusted advisor, your real estate agent. They have more real experience with them.
Yeah. In general, your agent has done a multiple transaction, has built a relationship with an inspector that they trust, and they also know how to communicate with that inspector. That way, when that report comes out, you have someone that you can refer to, and if need be, they can get back and forth with the inspector. So having an inspector that they trust and have worked with, they understand those reports because they've seen multiple reports from that same inspector. You don't want a random one every time. And don't get me wrong, as a client, if you have somebody that does it and you want to stick with it, by all means, go with the person you trust if you have a personal relationship. Otherwise, realtors see a lot more inspections than you.
Well, and I feel like this could go even beyond inspections. I know that you recently had a transaction with a couple that has moved many times, and you had to teach them how we do real estate now, from their
Yeah,
earnest money to other things. One of my worst transactions was with my own father, right? Because my parents relocated multiple times when we were kids, similar to you, John. And he's like, I've sold more houses than you have. Well, no, you haven't, first of all. But second of all, you don't know the market right now. You don't
yeah,
know what's happening. And so I think it's really important not to get that hubris as a buyer or seller or as an agent. You need to come in gently. You're not trying to go head to head with them, and come in beside them and be a helper, be someone who is a support and that is helping them, not fighting with them. So
yeah. I was actually talking to an agent from our office this last Tuesday when I went in to check out our new office, and
mhm.
he's talking to me. He was in your Ignite class, and he's had a incredible run. He had 3 closings on the same day last month, and
Oh,
so
that's
he's
awesome.
yeah, he's doing really well. And so I was congratulating him, saying, "Hey, man, you really had a good run last month. That's awesome." Da 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 da. He's like, "Well, I got this client right now, and she knows that she's in a buyer's market, and we've been in a buyer's market honestly like a month. Like we're just tipping our toe into it. It's not like we're
Yeah.
here, and
We
she's in
can, we can get data tomorrow and we can be back to balanced. Yeah.
yeah." And so she's insistent that the seller pay all closing costs and everything already because she knows better than him because she knows it's a buyer's market. And she's like, I'm so frustrated because we're not there yet, you know. And she's assuming things are going to continue in a downward trajectory for a long period of time. And there is a time when you, as a buyer, you could request all your closing costs, everything else. There is a market for that. I'm not saying that she's entirely wrong, but it's like sellers aren't there yet in our current market. We're still struggling to get them to get their prices changed. So just one of those things.
And and like this goes back to hyperlocal too. Are you at a price point that can ask for that? Right.
That's
Some
true.
price
Yeah,
points you probably could get that, but not most of them.
Yeah. But it's just one of those things. Like, this guy knows what he's doing. He's closing lots of deals. You're deal number 5 this month or 6 this month. Like, he knows what he's doing. Let him do his thing, But she's just fighting with him all the way on it. It's funny because he's like, I'm doing this and getting lucky, doing this, and now out of nowhere, it's like this person's like, no, this is how it's done. This is how we do it. And listen to your realtor. They usually know what's going on.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. After you lose a couple of houses, maybe you'll listen. That's another thing. It's like after she tries it a few times and gets her offer denied, or her offer gets accepted, and it's everything, right? There's a buyer and a seller for everyone. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, I just want to thank everybody so much for sticking with us and staying with us through season 1 and getting through as we learn how to do this podcast thing. We truly appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you. We're coming back with season 2. We're going to lay it out a little differently and hopefully improve some things and make things look a little bit more professional. That's the goal. We love it. And hopefully you guys do too.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.